What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ring the Bell. My name's Joey, the Dad Bod Demigod, and always is my faithful companion,
the interdimensional Shiro, Moxie Molly. Since it's our first week back for the Wednesday review, Joey and I decided to just go back to OG.
We're the dynamic duo.
We are.
We're the two that when you log on, you go, oh, that's not DS and Paloma, and you log off. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about this week. Actually, mostly on NXT. Not too much happened on the AEW side. But let's go ahead and dive right on in, because the first thing we saw on NXT was a mixed tag team match between Keith Lee and Mia Yim going up against the Gargano family. I wish this match would have happened at TakeOver instead of what we got at TakeOver.
Yes, I agree. You mean with the 6-woman tag at TakeOver?
Yeah, the 6-woman tag, and then Johnny versus Keith was like my least favorite match at TakeOver. If you would have just made this a mixed tag, I think I would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah, and then I also kind of feel like the 6-man tag and the match between Johnny and Keith Lee would make more sense after this.
So a couple of notable spots in the match for me was just, I like the double power bomb. That was a fun little spot. And then I can't really remember notably anything else from the match until the end.
The ending spot, you mean?
There was the whole spot where they accidentally took out Mia and she went down on the floor on the outside, which I wasn't really worried on that side because they had already built Mia in the match as more... Oh, you changing colors over there. But they had Mia fighting both Johnny and Candice, so they made her look a bit more like a powerhouse, so it didn't really give that devastation. But when Johnny hit that DDT and splashed Lee on top of Candice, oh!
No, I love that. I know that you feel that the next match we'll talk about is the better one of the two. I do want to point out that I felt like this finally was showing... No, I'm not going to say finally showing off, because we could always see what Mia Yim could do, but it just felt like there was no fire in recent months behind what Mia Yim was doing. I don't know if it's because she was in there with her man, but I felt like she rocked it, although a couple of her connections could have been a little bit more, stiff. I agree with that. I feel like you're starting to get to know some of Candice LeRae's indie style character, how she was like, I did it, I did something good. Like it was.
Yeah, I love that.
But I will say, although this match doesn't seem like it was an NXT quality match, I feel like this is the kind of match you would see on a good indie show. And I kind of liked the feeling they were getting at, because it had a lot of story behind it. It was spotty, but the spots flowed together well.
Totally agree with that. I think everything's getting a bit spotty across the board because now AEW is making spotty matches really relevant. And so WWE's kind of following suit, it seems like.
I don't know if they're making it relevant, but they're definitely making them.
I like what you said, where Mia and Candice both showed more personality than we've really seen in months, especially with Mia is circumstance, because until now, Mia didn't have a reason to go out and fight anyone. There was no storyline backing her, period. Even when she had the match against Charlotte, it was just Charlotte saying, oh, I want to face Mia because I faced her way back in the day. She didn't have much to draw out of that.
Yeah, I feel like it's long been an argument on the interwebs about indie wrestling, about how some of these shows just book people from show to show to show. There's no storyline. And then there's those people who are bigger than their britches, and they're just like, well, you should be able to wrestle without a story. Tell a story in the match. But sometimes besides heel and face, you need a little motivation. I think you can wrestle without a story. Don't get me wrong on that. But if the entire card is non-story matches, that is not really wrestling. Wrestling is storytelling, so you need the story.
Look at how much more we're invested in AEW now that they're telling stories.
Right, and that's what I'm feeling you're feeling with Mia Yim, is she finally had a story that was believable and actually made sense that she could believe in. And I do believe it gave her some extra confidence.
I felt like she was the HBIC last night, which was great.
Yeah, and then before we move on from this match, I do want to say I actually really liked it. How when Keith Lee smashed Candice LeRae and Johnny did the roll up and Keith Lee kind of threw her out of the ring, I like how she stayed like dead, because I like how they made it seem like Candice wasn't playing dead too. She's not a smart enough heel to fake play dead. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, she's not trying to be that coward heel. She legitimately, like, it made it very believable. I mean, it's believable. Look at her compared to Keith and how the very beginning of the match started.
Yeah, I mean, totally true. I just also like that Keith Lee is now doing the AJ Lee spot with everyone, where like they just hop up and like put their arms around his neck and sit on the hips. Everyone's just going to take a ride on Keith Lee.
Whoa.
Not that way, but we got a video package for Io Shirai, which was so good. I love seeing Asuka and Shinsuke and everyone from Japan celebrate that win, because she's so like just renowned as a performer. It was nice to see her get that credit.
I'm so happy with it. Not just with the video package, but with her. Ooh, I got the chills. But with her having the belt. Like, I think I'm happy with all of it. I can't wait to see what the reign of Io brings.
And speaking of who might challenge Io, we got a backstage promo from Rhea Ripley, and she seems like she's trying to get back into that title picture, and it seems like the easiest kind of next contender. The focus of her promo that we got from Rhea Ripley this week was Robert Stone came into the picture and basically tried to recruit Rhea Ripley, and then she socked him in the gut and threw him through a trash can. I'm finding it really interesting that this new storyline with Robert Stone is happening, but we're not getting any follow-up with Chelsea Green.
Right, or even Aaliyah, like no follow-up with any of that.
I think Robert Stone is funny as hell. Like, I love his like disheveled look thing that he's doing right now.
I really hope this isn't leading to them not having anything for him, and then we don't see him on television, and then he eventually doesn't have a contract, because I think he's very valuable. There's a lot they can do with him. I know it's a weird time. Everyone's just coming back from COVID, and I know this is a women's wrestling channel, but he's mostly in women's, storylines. So like, I do think that Robert Stone, and there's not just the women he could be matched with, but I think his character matches so well with that like high class, like almost diva sort of wrestler.
Yeah.
Him being matched with. And I don't know why he'd ask Rhea Ripley. I couldn't even see them two working together. So
after that promo, we got treated to yet another women's match on NXT. It was Kacy Catanzaro, who is one of my favorite people on this planet as far as like wrestling wise, versus Dakota Kai with Raquel in tow. This was such a good match. I loved it.
I actually feel that the intergender match struck my fancy more than this one. I just thought it was out of nowhere. It
was out of nowhere. It seemed like it's going to kind of establish more of a tag team feel in NXT, because afterwards we got to see, Dakota looked into the camera and said that she's coming after Io Shirai and the title. But then we had Kaden Carter come out and make the save. She also suffered the wrath of Raquel with that giant freaking slam, which is a thing of glory. Maybe they're setting up a little bit more of a tag team title picture with this.
Listen, I'd be stoked for that if we didn't get tag team women's wrestling for the past 2 to 3 weeks on AEW. Because if this turns into just a ton of freaking tag team matches, like, I know we keep saying make the women's tag team belts relevant, make them relevant, but like, we still need some singles wrestling too. So
we do.
I mean, it would be cute if it was an NXT women's tag team sort of thing, but like, now I feel like I'm seeing too much women's tag team wrestling,
and none of it centers around the belts, which is weird.
Right, which is so strange. Look how Charlotte, who was no longer in NXT, came to hold a NXT belt. Maybe the NXT women's tag can hold the main roster, if you want to call it that, tag team belts. Maybe. We don't know that. We're not privy to that information.
After we talk this match, there is an announcement that got made.
What was it?
Oh, so next week it's Shotzi and Tegan versus Sasha and Bailey.
Oh.
Which makes me think that
so much tag team stuff, because I could see Shotzi and Tegan, Shotzi at least, holding.
I could see Tegan and Shotzi holding the belts. I don't see Tegan going after a singles title anytime soon. I was impressed with Kacy every time I see her. Just that, I love the new move that I saw was the little senton into the kick. that she hit. I love seeing her hit the Hurricane Rana on the outside. She can just pull out little maneuvers, and when she does them, you're just like, damn, like it's so good and so crisp. This girl's kind of a natural.
Well, I mean, she's definitely a natural because she's like a gymnastics background, and please forgive me, wrestlers of the past, but it really is murder costume gymnastics. Like,
that's what it is.
Yeah, or like really, really physical dance. So
I like to call it drag for straight people.
All right. But no, yeah, she ought to be this good, and I like how they kind of had her there to take all of the, beating, but it wasn't a squash. She still totally got it.
I liked it. We got to see Dakota Kai and Raquel kind of take them out to probably set up a tag team match for next week, which I'm sure you're thrilled about. Another tag team match next week.
Another tag team match.
On to this was so good. Scarlett coming out at the end of the night. Oh my God. It was so good. The camera angles from everything, the crowd, granted, they're all just performance center talent, but everyone was into it. Her look, the feel of it. I loved her standing with the Karrion Kross logo just in the back. This was like the best thing I've seen out of Scarlett and Karrion Kross so far, regardless of it. I loved it so much.
My only critique, and I don't think it has anything to do with her, it has more to do with prop, is I didn't really like how she walked back like this, hiding the hourglass behind her. I think it'd be more cool if she walked out with something that kind of looks like an urn, and then she kind of did this with an hourglass to unleash it and put it in there. I think it would like have made her like more even like Britney Spears in the cat suit be able to like walk down, because like it's kind of hard to walk really, really like flouncy in heels when you don't have your freaking arms to balance you. So I feel like she would still be able to do this if she was walking like that. And she got it towards the end, but like once she put her hands down, she was like this for a second, and then right towards the end she finally put those like spiky nails down. I just wish it was the spiky nails the whole time, because that is what set it off for me. Like it was like she's not even a human, she's a creature. And so like I just wish the nails were there they were there the whole time, but like we're on the like mat scratching it the whole time. But yeah, no, like I've said a billion times, at first I was like, whatever's going on is really lucrative and alluring, but I not quite sure if I'm buying into it yet. I'm starting to buy into it. I still don't think we 100% know what it is, but I'm not giving up. I'm still there to give it a chance and see what's happening, because it's probably one of the most, I think, interesting storylines across all brands, including
by far.
Right now. Yeah, for sure.
Like you said, I really wasn't invested, but last night got me invested. I think it was just a lot of the angles and the vibe and the expression. The only little critique I can give it is if you're going to do an hourglass, get one where you can see the sand. Like that's the only problem, because you couldn't really see it falling.
Also, I kind of like, and this is how I'm kind of interpreting it, like because Karrion Kross wasn't there, I don't know, I feel like she almost kind of like where we thought Nightmare Collective was going to go, where it made it seem like Brandy was going to conjure up Awesome Kong. I feel like we're starting to get this feeling that Karrion Kross doesn't actually belong to this dimension, interdimensional.
Oh, and you would know.
Scarlett kind of has to conjure him when she needs him and is in time. Like she needs to conjure him when she needs him. Like, you know what I mean? And I like how one of our fans said it's almost like she controls him and what he does. But what if they're trying to like give you this really indie storyline where actually Karrion Kross is like in her and she's like bringing him out to like throw at people.
Like she's a possessed.
Probably not anywhere where it's good. No, she's possessed, but she can like pull out. Yeah, she can pull out her different personalities and demons that are in there, and like, I don't know. It's probably
that is such a complex character. I love it, and I wish that I felt like WWE could do that character justice. But it sounds like a solid like CW super hit villain type deal. I dig that. Like I said,
like it's very indie. Like this is what like the indies try to pull off. Like. Not very good, but they always try to pull off stuff like that. But wherever it's going, it's interesting. I like how he wasn't there last night, and it makes me like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that makes me happy. I like that idea a lot. And dear God, I hope someone's watching this and is writing this down. Like, WWE creative, take it. It was not my idea to say take. Moxie, if you want to release the idea. That's what happened on NXT this week. Let's go ahead and jump over to the competition because we got a little bit of stuff from everybody. Was Kung Fu. Oh, that was you jumping. Let's move over to AEW and talk about what we got from them this week. We got a tag team match.
Yay!
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of become the MO, and it's also kind of getting repetitive because it's a little bit of the same people doing the same exact thing over and over and over again. But
I feel like whenever we start to praise AEW, 1 week later, they just like slap us in the face and just like, nah.
They're really bad about stopping a storyline and then picking up a storyline like 4 weeks later, so I'm hoping something comes of it. But for the match that we got, it was Penelope Ford and Nyla Rose going up against champion Hikaru Shida and Kris Statlander. I thought it was a good match, but then again, I've been treated to a lot of really good matches that are kind of similar to this lately. I thought Big Swole was a much needed breath of fresh air last week, and now she's nowhere to be seen. Overall, what did you think of the tag team match?
I feel like Kris Statlander was who she was that very first time we saw her, like so impressive. Nothing was wrong, no timing, just no issues. Like she was amazing in Lawler. That's the Kris Statlander that I was like, oh my God, yes.
Axe kick she hit. Kris Statlander hit like one of the best axe kicks I've seen since Aoife Valkyrie recently.
Yeah, and then the camera cut and you couldn't see it very well, but like even when Nyla was about to do that double thing, they were not positioned right, and she found a way to like position them correctly. Like you see her put her arm over and like bring them closer or whatever, and like she kind of helped Hikaru Shida flip a little bit. So for as much as guff as she's gotten, like, well, that's probably because she hasn't had enough time in the ring. I don't know. I see her do a lot of veteran stuff, not just her moveset, but like fixing things. She's really good at ring positioning and fixing things. I'm kind of mad that she's a face and Hikaru Shida is a face because I really want to see Kris go for a title run.
I really want to see her in a title run. I feel, honestly, we're not going to get a Kris Statlander run until after we get a Britt Baker run. I feel like that's going to be when they start to focus the division towards her. Yeah, I know. It blows. It seems now the next contender they're looking at is Penelope Ford.
Yes. And listen, I'm down with that, I think.
I am. That means more Kip Sabian.
Penelope Ford's the kind of character I feel that Robert Stone needs to be managing. Just her attitude and the way she wrestles. So I'm trying to think of who is most like her on the NXT roster, and it is probably Chelsea Green.
It's Chelsea Green.
That's played out. Is there a second or third in line? I don't know.
I would go for like Aaliyah or Vanessa Bourne. So they've kind of used those characters.
They would just change Santana up a bit, she would be perfect at it. Anyway, back to AEW.
Yeah, so we saw Penelope Ford get the win, and I want to acknowledge two spots. I want to acknowledge one, just the amount of knees that Hikaru Shida hit Penelope Ford with during that match. They looked vicious as fuck. But the end was legit. She smacked her with the belt, and you've got Chris Jericho on commentary who's yelling out, cover her, cover her, cover her. And it's like, yeah, that's what you need to do. And instead she hit her with that fisherman, which I was like, I get it. Get your finisher in. But like, if you're going to plant someone with something after you hit them with a belt, give me more than a fisherman suplex.
I feel like that's a little bit where Penelope Ford / whoever agented this match is a little green, because Chris Jericho was speaking from a place of tons of years of experience and storytelling, and that would be the right story, and that would be what old school people would tell you to do, is cover immediately. And then her and or the agent was like, no, give it one more move. But like, I was taught by mostly old school people, and so obviously it's like, if they're already down, why pick them up to take them back
exactly
down? Like, they're down. So no, I totally agree. It was weird, but it also AEW's crowd likes that stuff. Like, AEW's crowd, I don't think really cares about the way old school stuff is taught. So
no,
it makes sense to their crowd, I'd say.
It makes a lot of sense to their crowd, but, I'm not against it if you need to, as a heel, pick someone back up and put a little bit of stank on it, just to get that crowd reaction. But the move she picked wasn't it.
Oh, I agree.
I am excited to see her get a little bit more involved in the title picture. Again, mostly because I get more Kip Sabian on my TV screen. But that's all that happened on AEW. Well, no, we did get a Britt Baker promo. It was very, very small.
Model.
I'm ready to see her get back into the ring already. I think they need to space out a little bit more of these promos and give her more side work like last week. Because if we just keep getting these promos while she's injured, it's going to get stale really quick. And I don't need her to get stale.
Right, because she just got fresh.
Yeah.
I do like how Reba or
Rebel. I love that she calls her Reba.
Whatever she chooses to call her, in the video package, picked up the weight and was like, go, go, go. It was funny. But you're right. It is getting a little stale. Or it's not yet, but it's going to. It's like walking the line of stale. If she gets injured over and over and over, and then they don't put her on television, it's almost like they're conspiring for her to get stale.
Conspirator!
I see you, AEW.
Hey, Moxie.
Hey, Joey.
What is your boom blast moment of the week? Yes! Oh, it's only been a week, but I miss saying that. My boom blast moment for this week is definitely Scarlett coming out and just sitting that hourglass there. That was such a good moment. I can't, no qualms whatsoever.
If that's going to be your boom blast, because mine was definitely Scarlett. But you know what? Okay. I think I'm going to say the way the Johnny Gargano, Keith Lee, Candice LeRae, Mia Yim match ended. I think that was good. I think it was.
Yeah.
And my boom blast will be how they started it with Keith showing how tiny Candice is, but then also using it as their demise at the end.
It was a really well story-told match.
Yeah, so that'll be my boom blast. That
was NXT and AEW this week. What did you guys think of the shows? Leave some comments down here. We read all of them. And, hey, Moxie.
Make fun of you about them, too.
Yeah, we will. We'll laugh at you. Hey, Moxie.
Hey, Joey.
Where can people find you? Oh, you're over here now. But you can find me everywhere on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Joey_Mayberry. Also, you can search Joey Mayberry on YouTube and check out my channel and my weekly show, Tops and Bottoms. Moxie, what about you and your fabulous arms?
You can find me across all social media platforms at that's THEE, Moxie Molly. And if you're a fan of the show, please look below and literally ring the bell so you can get updates on all of our latest content, interviews, and lives during, pay-per-views. And
Speaking
don't forget,
of which, Backlash.
Oh, yeah, Backlash.
We love you. And quick shout out, because you mentioned interviews. DS just launched today when we're filming this.
Did you see the thing come through on your phone as we're recording?
A Crystal Marshall interview, and I got to see it already. It's really good, y'all. Go watch it.
Bye.
Yay, bye.